What's up guys, it's your boy Gifty here, back at it again with another video. And today we're gonna revise a video I made 4 years ago. If you guys wanna check it out real quick, I'll leave a link in the description. But in that video, I was pretty familiar with most Diecast brands. But in this year 2023, more brands has popped up. My opinions on some brands has changed. I've learned new things. And when I watched that old video, there are some brands that actually perform better now, while there are some brands that I feel like just got worse. And do note that everything in this video is my opinion. It might be slightly biased because it's based on what I've went through and a little bit of what I've heard from other collectors. And note that this video is not edited. So everything that I say today is first impression. I didn't write a script. There isn't a script in front of me or anything. So please take this video with a grain of salt. Please be civilized in the comment section. And without further ado, let's start with the first brand, Hot Wheels. Oh man, so in the past 4 years, Hot Wheels has gotten crazier, right? More people have started collecting Hot Wheels. It's like still like one of the biggest brand, right? From what I feel, it from the consensus, it's still one of the biggest brand. But I feel like nowadays Hot Wheels, a lot of things are going on. Firstly, Hot Wheels, they've been releasing so many series, and it's so hard to catch up with all of the cars. They have the premium line, they have the Fast and Furious line, which they constantly milk. We are so sick of Hot Wheels re-releasing cars. Yes, sure, if they re-release the car to give new collectors a chance to get a car, that's cool, but there are cars where they re-release 3 times, 4 times, and it's just so sickening and tiring. And that's just for the Fast and Furious line. They even have their car culture line, they have the pop culture line, they have this new line where the cars have metal base and the plastic wheels with 5 cars in it, they have the new neon speeders line, they have these new box sets with 6 cars in it. It just goes on and on. And the RLC has just gotten worse. The website is broken. It's just, a lot of RLC cars just being milked. I feel like Hot Wheels, and not to mention the NFT series, the new Daniel R. Okay, so overall, my passion for Hot Wheels died down a little bit throughout the years, mainly because firstly Hot Wheels, they've just been releasing too many stuff. We don't know which direction they're going on. They're still constantly milking the JDM and Fast and Furious line, But as a brand itself, it's still a good, reliable starting point for most collectors, right? It's one of the cheapest cars. I know it's $1 in the USA, but in the rest of the world, it's $3-4. So take note of that for my fellow US viewers. Here in Singapore, it's like $4 Singapore. And I feel like there's just, maybe for the main lines, sure, Hot Wheels main lines, although I don't collect them anymore because I've moved on to better brands, which I'll mention later. When you talk about Hot Wheels premium cars, when you talk about the Liberty Walk R35 versus another brand's R35, it just doesn't make sense to pay resale value for the Hot Wheels version compared to other brands. Hot Wheels is overhyped now more than ever. It's a little bit sad to see what happened to Hot Wheels. So I still have a thing for Hot Wheels. Honestly guys, I don't collect Hot Wheels as much anymore because there's just too many and it's watered down a little bit over the years. So I will be giving Hot Wheels a B grade. Next up is Matchbox. I'm not active in the Matchbox line. In fact, I haven't bought a Matchbox in a few years now. I think it's still a cool brand. It's a sister brand of Hot Wheels. They have this new opening parts feature, which is not too shabby. I think they have some pretty decent cars. They recently released their own version of the Super Treasure Hunt called the Chase Car, which is weird because it started out having rubber tires and stuff, but eventually their Super Treasure Hunt are just normal mainline cars with plastic wheels. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Then Matchbox also have their own RLC version called the Metal Creations cars, which are essentially Matchbox premium cars in fancy acrylic cases that are $20 each. So honestly, I'm not sure. My consensus on Matchbox is I don't really collect it. I have a few of the Metal Creations cars. I'm just not feeling it with Matchbox. I'm gonna have to give Matchbox a D grade. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is just my personal thing. I just don't find myself looking for Matchbox cars. You know, I know they have toy fairs. I'm sure they're more prevalent in the U.S. markets. But personally speaking, and from what I heard around, yeah, I just don't collect Matchbox, man. Okay, next is Tomica. So in the video I made 4 years ago, I had really good expectations for Tomica because they were the brand that had suspensions, opening doors, front hoods, back hoods. They have pop-up headlights. And with the introduction of the Tomica Premium Unlimited, there's a nice little step up in their quality, right? And they create cars that maybe other brands don't make. I think Tomica in general is still cool. They still make that stupid, shitty mainline wheels that we see on every Tomica basic cars. The price of Tomica has increased from $6.95 in Singapore to it's like 10 Singapore dollars now. A basic Tomica car is practically as much as a Hot Wheels premium car, and that does not make sense to me. Okay? That does not make sense to me. The Tomica Premium is still pretty cool. It's still $10.95, right? I think so. Singaporean collectors, maybe $11.95. The Tomica Premium is still not too shabby. And someone recommended I separate the TLV, the Tomica Premium, and the Tomica Basic line. But we're seeing this as a brand overall. So with all those factors in place, I personally don't find myself looking at Tomica's direction nowadays even. I feel like there's nothing to miss out much. Although there are some cars that are pretty cool. So we're gonna give it a C grade this time around. This next brand is Mini GT. 4 years ago, I didn't give Mini GT a high grade because they released Liberty Walk R35s. It was just R35s with different colors. Maybe they had a few different cars like the Honda Civic and whatnot, you know. But from what I saw, and at their price point, Mini GT 4 years ago, I felt like it was good, you know. Yeah, they're milking the R35s, but I saw the potential. And if you guys watched that video, I even said that I believe that Mini GT will do better nowadays. And so they do. In this year, 2023, Mini GT has a much wider line of cars, okay? All the Bugattis, McLaren F1 GTR, all the collaborations like the Liberty Walk. Fantastic job by Mini GT. They're also stepping up their game in terms of marketing and with the community, such as holding an event at MDX and the Indonesian Diecast Expo. Mini GT has shown confidence in their brand by promoting it, right? And so they did. And nowadays, I hear a lot of people collecting Mini GT, especially in Indonesia. Shout out to y'all. I hear it's really prevalent in Indonesia. Mini GT has done a fantastic job. I don't think I have anything negative to say other than the fact that the chase cars, sometimes it just doesn't make sense, you know. Like they sold the chase car at MDX, you know. The idea of a chase car is to find it in the wild, to get a chance of getting it. But at MDX, they sold the chase car at a marked up price, which didn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, Mini GT overall done a good job. I look forward to more of their future castings. Especially love their rally cars and all the cars they've been releasing. Fantastic job. Mini GT definitely deserves an S grade. I really don't see why not. Related to Mini GT is the Kaido House line. For example, they have the Kaido House Mini GT. We're gonna touch that on that real quick. They recently released the R34 Kaido House. Love that car. Very beautiful details. Opening front hood. Nice engine bay. The base is like very nicely polished. It's kind of like Mini GT2, so I'm not gonna touch on this too much. I feel like the Kaido House though, it's cool, but they like to milk that same car. For example, the Datsun 510 Bluebird. There's like 10, 12, there's like a lot of variants for that one car, and they're not cheap. So if you're looking to collect all of them, you're gonna have a hard time. So I feel like Kaido House, I would love to see them create more cars rather than just releasing 2 new paint jobs, you know, especially for the 510 wagon, the 510 car. There's just so many, you know. It's just like, oh, here's a blue one, oh, here's a green one, you know. Sure, the MDX version is a nice little touch because it's an event car and stuff like that, but they're milking some of the cars too much. I don't really like it. Maybe you guys like it, right? If you like collecting 20 of the same car in different colors and different wheels, be my guest. Okay? But I don't personally like it. But individually, the car, they're great. The Kaido House Mini GT cars are great. I'll give it an A grade. Next in line is Greenlight. 4 years ago, I mentioned that Greenlight is like the Hot Wheels of premium cars. And because the cars are great, but they do have defects here and there, such as the infamous square wheels. Sometimes their wheels don't fit perfectly, and they do have defects. The QC of Greenlight is not the best, but when you do have a pretty good or you have a perfect Greenlight based on a movie car and whatnot, I think it's great. Although their lineup is not as wide as other brands, I think Greenlight still does a good job with their cars all in all. Once again, I don't collect Greenlight too much, but from what I saw, they're doing a great job. So I'm thinking of putting it in the A tier, but that would mean it's as good as the Kaido House cars. But the Greenlight is not good as the Kaido House cars, so I'll probably give it a B+. Almost an A, but B+. Make a B+. Next in line is Johnny Lightning. I don't collect a lot of Johnny Lightnings, but with the ones I do, I think they're pretty cool. They like to mix things up. For example, the Monopoly series is a really cool series that I've seen at Beehive. Shout out to them. I think it's a pretty cool series. Their cars look great. They create a lot of muscle cars, which I personally like, but don't worry, I'm not gonna account for that factor too much. Pricing wise, pretty fair, at least here in Singapore. I know Johnny Lightning is more famous in the USA. So I think their cars are pretty good. I would say it's comparable to Greenlight, so I'll give it a B grade. There you go, Johnny Lightning. Oh, I think that I'm gonna have to reduce the size. We're gonna have to make space just in case. Johnny Lightning is pretty good. Next is Eno64, a brand that I did not mention along with me, Kaido House and whatnot, in my video from last time. Eno64. They're great. I have a couple of Eno64 myself. They do a great job. Some of my favorite pieces are the MDX R34 and the Liberty Walk F40, which they released recently. I think they're doing a fantastic job. Their cars don't roll. They're more of a scale car, right? We're not talking about model or diecast cars anymore. Brands like Eno64 are scale cars. They're not meant to roll. Okay, although it'd be cool if they can roll, right? But I think overall the cars are cool. I don't personally like some of the casting they release, like for example, I know the Bruce Lee one. Shout out to my boy Swift. He's a huge fan of Bruce Lee. I saw that. I think it's a really nice thing, but I'm not really into that too much. The lineup, some cars, I'm not really a huge fan of. But when they do release a really great car, such as the F40 Liberty Walk, fantastic, absolutely kill it. So Eno64 definitely deserves an A grade. Alright, we're gonna put Eno into A grade. Now, next brand is Pop Race. Okay, before I talk about Pop Race, I should put a disclaimer that I do work with Pop Race. I am a sponsored content creator for Pop Race, so I do help review their cars. They send me the cars and I review it, so I might be a bit biased towards them. But I want to justify that the reason why I would like working with them is because their cars are fantastic. Their price points, alright? The price for what you're paying for is unbelievable, man. Marchi, the founder of Pop Race, jokingly shares that, oh yeah, the cars are low in price. And sometimes it's hard, the factory, they'll call them crazy when they want to make all these opening features and small little touches on the car. Really, really funny story. Love Marchi, man. Really fun guy. So yes, Pop Race. I love Pop Race because their cars are really, really fairly priced. Really, I do mean that. Wait, sorry, let myself. The cars are amazing. They have most, or if not all their cars, no, most of the cars have opening features. And they have really, really fine details, like small little details, which gets you wondering, like, holy crap, like, did they even add it in? Especially their collaboration with the Bathing Ape Boss Suzuku. Those blue collectors away, man. Everybody loved that car. I love the Boss Suzuku Bathing Ape collab. Fantastic job by Pop Race. And most importantly, they freaking roll. Okay? The packaging is nice, but you should open up your cars, and when you do open up your Pop Race cars, the cars roll. And that's what I love about Pop Race, and that's why I'm happy to support them. Pop Race is doing a fantastic job, and I'll put it at S tier. And by doing that, that means that Pop Race and Mini GT are head to head, which I strongly believe so. Alright? I think in terms of details, both are really great brands, Mini GT, Pop Race. But Pop Race has the added bonus of opening features. Because if I recall correctly, Mini GT don't have any cars with opening features. Alright? So, yeah. Pop Race is in line with Mini GT. Pop Race gotta create more castings. Pop Race doesn't have any muscle cars, now that I think about it. If they created muscle cars, oh boy, it's gonna be a different story. Next up is Tarmac Works. So Tarmac Works, I have a few Tarmac Works myself. Throughout the years, I've seen that they've been very active with their line. I always see it on Instagram and whatnot, and I think they're still doing a great job. They also like to collaborate with people like Lamley Group, which I love because that shows that brands like Tarmac Works look at content creators or influencers, if that's what you want to call it, and I think that's great that they pay attention to content creators like Lamley Group. I think their cars look cool. They have a few different lines. They have the ones in the acrylic case, they have ones in like the boxes, right? And I have a few myself. Absolutely love Tarmac Works. I think Tarmac Works is great. They have the Koenigsegg. The first time they released the Koenigsegg Agera, right, with the removable rear hatch, I was like mind blown. Like, holy crap, that's amazing, man. Other than that, I can't really think of any negative things about Tarmac Works. I got to meet Felix at Macau. You know, Tarmac Works actually have an actual racing car. Same with Pop Race, by the way. The Hello Kitty Audi recently. So they're very active with their marketing and social media stuff, engaging with followers. I see that they're always live and interacting with followers, which is something most of these brands that I've mentioned so far don't do. So I think that's cool. So I strongly believe that Tarmac Works deserves a spot in the S class too. I think they're doing a fantastic job. Alright, next up is Majorette. So last time I gave Majorette, I think, a C ranking. And the reason I did that was I used to collect a few Majorettes. But the reason why I don't give them a higher grade was their cars are very chunky. They don't have a big line. And they don't really have a lot of like license, right? You won't see them with like racing liveries and whatnot. And sometimes their proportions are just off. Especially the Lamborghini Sian, right? You know, they attempt to make opening features for their cars, but the way they execute it is just not that good. So the thing is, I've actually sold off most of my Majorette cars. I don't collect Majorette anymore. They're not as active on their social media as last time. Last time when you comment on the Majorette Australasia Instagram page, they always reply to your comments, maybe even view your stories, maybe even follow you. But nowadays, when I see their Instagram page, it's kind of dead. They just post their car and that's it. They're not as active in social media, which was their strong point last time. I love interacting with the Majorette team on Instagram, which is partly why I bought their cars, because I feel like, wow, they're so caring of their consumers. Let me support them a bit, but that's not the case now. And even so, if you look at the upcoming cars, I don't think there's anything notable, at least, with the cars. The cars are still out of proportion. They came to be 1/64, but if you put a Majorette car beside any of the other brands that I've put so far, the Majorette car is gonna look significantly bigger compared to them, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna have to give Majorette. Wait, no, I'm gonna have to give it an E grade. Matchbox is still slightly better than, no, not even slightly, like the Matchbox cars are better than Majorette, so I'm gonna have to give Majorette an E grade. Next up is a brand that I'm not familiar with. It's called Tiny. I have a few Tiny cars. I think what they're doing is cool. They create like the SBS bus and whatnot, so I'm sure the bus enthusiasts can appreciate that, right? But in terms of mainly cars, they don't create like Lamborghinis or the kind of thing, right? They focus more on, I would say, things that are related to Hong Kong, right? Because it is a Hong Kong brand after all. And I know that they work closely with some of the brands that I've mentioned on the list, such as Pop Race and whatnot. But I have not collected enough Tiny castings to really give it an accurate grade. So I will give it a B grade. It's not too shabby, but please know that I'm not very familiar with the brand. I only have a few cars here and there. I've seen what they do here and there. I follow their Instagram page. Pretty cool. They interact with the viewers. But yeah, they don't have as big of a line that I'm interested in compared to other brands. So yeah, not too shabby. Hold on, before we continue, Tiny is above Tomica. Is Tiny better than Tomica? Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Okay, next one. M2 machines. I haven't collected M2 in a long time. I included this in this video because it was in the video that I made 4 years ago. I think M2 machines, they're still pretty active with their cars. They make trucks and haulers and whatnot. Pretty cool. I don't know much about their cars to give a proper statement, but based on what I've observed and seen, I think they're still pretty cool, pretty detailed, nothing too shabby. So I'll give M2 a B grade as well. It's not bad. Next one is AutoWorld. Oh man, AutoWorld, another brand that US collectors are familiar with. We have a few AutoWorlds here in Singapore, especially people like Beehive, they have it, and I have access to AutoWorld. I love their cars, man. Absolutely love it. They like to preach a true 1/64 scale, which I would like to believe is true. The cars look fantastic. Although they don't have plastic front and rear lights. That's the only thing that they suck, man. They don't have plastic front and rear light pieces. If not, the cars would look so much more realistic. Even better than green light, right? Because green light, what I like about green light is most, or if not all, their cars have plastic pieces, so it makes the car look more realistic. AutoWorld doesn't do that, though it's cool because when they create the cars, they look fantastic, man. So especially with the cars like the Corvette C8, and I recently bought a Dodge Hellcat from them. They look freaking killer, bro. I think they're doing a great job with their cars. I'm not sure how they are in the community, whether they're active with the collectors and whatnot. They're from round 2, right? I believe they are, I think. But their cars wise, it's pretty good. I don't know as much of AutoWorld compared to the other American brands here, but at least from the AutoWorld cars I collect, I love them, man. They're amazing. So I'll give it an A grade. Do note that AutoWorld is in the same grade as Inno64. When you guys might be thinking Inno64 is like much more detailed, but please account for the price. Okay, AutoWorlds are much cheaper. Okay, in the US and even here in Singapore. So yes, Inno64s are definitely more detailed, more refined than AutoWorlds, but they're more expensive. So I feel like from price to detail, or from price to worthness of the car, they're both A grade. Another brand I have, Aracar. I have a few Aracars, so I can't say much, but this is a new brand that I've been seeing recently. They have pretty good cars here and there, and for the price point, it's pretty fair as well. Though the consensus I got from Aracar is the QC is not that good. The worst one I heard was the door hinge was completely off, so that's whack. And sometimes there's paint chips on the Aracars that I get, because if not, Aracars are amazing because I have this GTR especially. He has opening doors, he has an opening front hood, engine details, and for most of their cars they do that so too. And sometimes their car comes with like tiny little diorama or figurines to complement the car itself. I think it's pretty cool. I feel like Aracar needs to step up their marketing because I don't see them being reviewed by other collectors as much. So I feel like they have to put themselves out there more so that more people can explore Aracar, because I do believe that Aracar has the potential to be successful in the future if they can maintain the price point they're selling their cars. They continue with the opening features and hopefully expand their line. So I'll put Aracar in the A grade. Now, last one, not last one though, this is like the last one, but I have some honorable mentions later, is Micro Turbo. I've been working with Mod Hobby and with Micro Turbo to feature their cars. The pop-up headlights, right? That's like the mind-blowing thing. Tomica, they've done the pop-up headlights. The first time I saw it, I was mind-blown. It's pretty cool. But if you have not seen how Micro Turbo does it, yo, you're missing out, man. They've done it more refined. The headlights flash nicely, and the mechanism works more smoothly than your Tomica premium cars. And of course, the car itself is detailed as well. They even have a few cars which are stanced, right? Freaking cameras on a freaking car, and they roll well. Okay? If you guys are wondering why it's important for cars to roll, that's because cars are meant to roll. Like, what's the point of buying a car that doesn't move forward, right? So, apologies if I keep repeating the part about rolling very well, but I feel like that should be important. It doesn't matter if you're a carded collector or you keep your cars packaged. Just knowing that you keep them packaged, but knowing that they roll, I feel like should be an important thing. So for Micro Turbo, fantastic. I love the cars, very detailed, pop-up headlights, special features such as the S2K where you can remove the roof and the kind of thing. Love it, love it, love it. However, the price point is what kills it a little bit. They are not cheap. And at the price of maybe 2 of the cars that you see in the S or A class, you can only get 1 Micro Turbo, right? So that makes it really tough. So I'll probably give it an A minus. If I could, I'll give it like in between A and B. But it has to be an A minus because although their cars are expensive, their cars really are expensive, they are so refined. They are beautiful and you can play with them. And you won't regret adding it to your collection because they are just so pretty to look at and play with. So this is what I have on the list so far. Some honorable mentions are Street Weapon. I think I have 1 or 2, but that's all I know. I think their cars are really detailed, though I heard their cars are not licensed. Is it Street Weapon, I think? Sorry, I think it's Time Micro. I'm not sure. There's some of these new Chinese brands or China brands that have been popping up, like CM Models, Street Weapon, Time Micro. So I feel like I'm not really sure how to incorporate it or integrate it into my list. So I feel like it's worth mentioning that they're really cool brands, but I don't know much. I really don't know a lot. Like I don't even know anything about those brands. I just know I have a few cars that I like from them. So that's it. Paris 64, been following Paris 64 on Instagram. I think they released a cool line of cars. I was hoping to be able to work with them, and if Paris 64, if you're still watching, yo, hit me up, man. Let's work together. Because so far, I don't have any Paris 64 cars. I think some of them do look cool. I would like to check out Paris 64 one day. And Ignition Model, kind of related to Tarmac Works. Kind of like Micro Turbo, they're also very expensive. Very, very, very detailed. They don't roll. But at that price point, it is a bit tough, you know. Because Micro Turbo is detailed as well, but they roll. They have opening features. And if I'm not mistaken, they're not as expensive as the Ignition Model. I don't have an Ignition Model car. I think I only have the RX-7 Rocket Bunny. But other than that, I don't have enough knowledge to give an opinion on that brand. Yeah. And also, I just realized that I didn't include brands like Burago and Maisto. I think they still make 118 cars. But in terms of 1-64, it's dead. They're dead. I don't see 1-64 of Maisto and Buragos anymore. They're dead. I don't see any friends or collectors posting about them. So I did include it in my video 4 years ago, but nowadays, nope, it's gone. So it's not gonna be on the list. So here is the final list right here from S to E. Thankfully, no one failed. Maybe some of you feel like maybe Majorette could be an F class. It's not that bad that they failed, but it's just really there's really nothing much for me to collect from Majorette. So how about you guys? I am very, very interested to hear your thoughts on my ranking. Maybe some of you feel that Hot Wheels should be S-Class because you're a freaking Hot Wheels simp, right? Which most of y'all are, let's admit it. I used to be a Hot Wheels simp too. I always used to think Hot Wheels is number 1. That's not the case, okay? Maybe mainlines, yeah, but you guys have to realize, for those of you who only collect Hot Wheels, you have to wake up and explore other brands. Please. For crying out loud, please explore other brands out there. Alright? Hot Wheels is not the only brand to collect. Okay? But maybe you feel like it deserves a B grade and A grade. Tell me in the comments below. And some of these other brands, some of you might not be familiar with. But hey, tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Maybe there's another brand that I missed out. Tell me everything. Tell me in the comments below. So yep, pretty happy to be able to remake this list more accurately. Now that I have more knowledge on a lot of these brands. What do you guys think? Tell me. So thank you guys for watching this pretty long video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found this video useful. And if you're a new collector, welcome to the hobby. Once again, don't take my word for it. It's always, in the end of the day, it's up to you to collect which cards you like. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Woohoo! And stop.